Davy, 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 Davy. Greetings, viewers. Welcome to Davy J Today. I'm your host, Davy J, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the recent news with the Star Wars films and just some recent events and a couple interesting things I've read in a few articles online. And I suppose it's probably best to start off by saying that, or by mentioning that it seems like Kathleen Kennedy has finally decided she'll take a back seat to a lesser creative position rather than be front and center for everything. And I think that's great. I do not agree with her agendas. And first of all, I don't think you should have too much of an agenda if you're making Star Wars movies for kids and young adults. And honestly, I don't feel like Star Wars is one of those things that's for kids and only, or young adults. Like when George Lucas was making the prequels, he's like, yeah, these are movies for kids, and that was like his big excuse that he laid on, or that he was like trying to push forward. Oh, these are, of course the adults aren't gonna like it, because when everybody saw like episode 1 or whatever, they were like, gosh, this movie's kind of stupid. And they're like, he's like, well, of course you'll think it's stupid. It's for kids, Star Wars is for kids.
It's hard for people to realize, and I'm not supposed to say this, and I wasn't supposed to say it then, but, it's a film for 12-year-olds.
But it brings out the kid in all of us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, obviously kids were not necessarily the target market for your first, for the original trilogy or whatever.
You're about to enter the real world. You're 12 years old. You're going to go on into the big world. You're moving away from your parents being the center focus. You're probably scared. You don't know what's going to happen. And here's a little idea of some of the things you should pay attention to. Friendships, honesty, and trust, and doing the right thing, living on the light side, avoiding the dark side. Those are things that it was meant to do.
And it was just like weird. But anyways, back to what I was saying about the agenda stuff. I don't know if you should really have much of an agenda. And if you do have an agenda, it shouldn't be, okay, we got to make sure the movie has really powerful female actors with, female positions of power. And I don't agree with it. And not because I'm sexist, but it's not like, oh, I'm sexist. That's not. No, I don't think it's like that. I think it's that Kathleen Kennedy just has a certain agenda that she wants to push, and I don't think Star Wars is a good basis to try to push that agenda onto people for. Because Star Wars is for everybody, I feel. Kids, young adults, teenagers. Obviously people in their 30s and 40s, and even people 50s and 60s now who grew up with the original films.
But, it's a film for 12-year-olds.
And I'm just glad that the big news is that George Lucas is coming back to, I can't remember the specifics of which movies he signed on to do or what role he's taking, but he's taking what role exactly or position that he's taking at Lucasfilm. But he is back on board at Lucasfilm, working with the new CEO now that Bob Iger's gone. He'll be working with the newer guys on top, and he'll have a bigger role. And I think that's fantastic, because George Lucas is the creator of Star Wars, and there would be no Star Wars if it wasn't for George Lucas. So when Kathleen Kennedy was aboard, I feel like she did her best to push George Lucas out. And I feel like that's just wrong. At the very least, he should be an executive producer on in the newer trilogy, and you can totally tell that the latest trilogy just suffers because of the lack of George Lucas. I'm just happy he's back, and I'm very happy that Kathleen Kennedy will be stepping down. She's not completely gone, but she'll be stepping down a bit, and that's music to my ears. I'm very happy. Here's an example of just the problems that Kathleen Kennedy had caused story-wise, as far as Lucasfilm goes. What I read in this article is that, I guess, for the Rise of Skywalker, I got my shopping about coronavirus apparel, forgive me, decked out in Vikings, skull. Anyways, from what I heard is there were about 2 or 3 different endings discussed or in the making for Rise of Skywalker. And while that was happening, I heard a rumor right before the movie came out that the reason they're not done with the final cut of the film is because they weren't really sure what they wanted the ending to be. And I guess they were going back and forth trying to decide what the best ending would be. Of course, we got, spoiler alert, we got the ending where everything supposedly comes full circle and Rey is showing up at the Skywalker farm and she buries the lightsabers and some random elderly lady's like, "Who are you?" And then she's like, "I'm Rey Skywalker." You know how Daisy Ridley does it. She's like, "I'm Rey Skywalker." I mean, is that like perfect or what? Anyways, I just didn't like that ending. There was another ending where apparently Adam Driver's character, Kylo Ren, which I think Kylo Ren is the most drawn out, the most well written character in the entire new trilogy by far. But Kylo Ren apparently, this ending that they had was like Ben Solo becomes good and he doesn't die at the end. He just becomes good and they end up kind of just joining forces at the end, and he ends up living and not dying. And I think that would have been just such a better ending if he would have lived. It's just kind of a shame. I mean, wouldn't you have loved to see Ben Solo and Rey not necessarily be together as a couple, but you know, destroy the Sith or whatever that was, and then just exist, being civil? You know what? I take it back. Actually, I would be cool seeing them end up together. But no, for some reason, Kathleen Kennedy pushed for this goofy, "I'm Rey Skywalker." Yeah, it was weird. And I guess they wanted an ending to be like, they wanted the ending to kind of be where Ben Solo becomes Ben Skywalker Solo or something like that. And I think that's perfect for him to take both names and just end up on the good side. But no, it's like he becomes good for 2 seconds and then kind of saves the day, so to speak, and then dies. It was just really weird and random. And the ending's kind of goofy. I just there were other endings discussed, and the other endings just seem so much better. I don't think Kylo Ren's fate was sealed properly, in my opinion. I think it could have been handled much better. But you see this confusing mess of a plot line that is the Rise of Skywalker, and all these crazy things happening, and then at the end you got this goofy, weird ending, and it just, they're like, "Oh, I get it. It sounds cool, right? You come full circle, and there you are at the Skywalker farm, where A New Hope started or whatever." And I guess it's kind of weird. I don't know why she buried the lightsabers there. That was kind of a weird choice, in my opinion, but I don't know. I just feel like it could have been handled better. I just feel more comfortable now that George Lucas is on board, and apparently he's going to be a very close, like a higher up, like like he's gonna have a powerful position, like executive producer or something or another, on the next couple films. I don't know if it's a new trilogy. Oh, that's another thing. Yeah, Rian Johnson's fate is completely sealed. It's over. I mean, they decided his movies are done, which is great because The Last Jedi was a shit show. I mean, he just went against the grain on purpose. Like, okay, you think this is going to happen? I'm going to go the opposite. And he thought Rian Johnson's like, as long as I subvert your expectations, it's okay. And it's like, no, man, just because you put shock value in your movie doesn't make it okay and tolerable. It was really weird. I just didn't think that was Luke Skywalker. There were things that I loved. Okay, I loved there were things that I loved in The Last Jedi. The lightsaber fight where Snoke is like illustrating what's happening. He's like predicting it, and through the Force, he's like, yeah, he's turning it towards his enemy to strike true, and he kills his enemy, and boom! All of a sudden, Snoke gets, lightsabered in half or whatever, and Kylo Ren grabs the lightsaber, and he's like, okay, let's do this, and then they fight the Red Guards or whatever. That was so cool, and Snoke's awesome lair. That set was so cool and so well done. But it was just weird. Luke's character did not seem like Luke Skywalker, and it certainly wasn't the Luke Skywalker that I grew up watching on the silver screen. I don't know about you or how you guys feel about it, but anyways, I'm just glad that George Lucas is going to be playing a bigger role in the next movies, in the next decade. It seems like he'll be playing a much larger role, and who better to play a role at Lucasfilm than the creator himself, George Lucas, right?
But, it's a film for 12-year-olds.
Anyways, I'm super hungry. I'm going to go enjoy some Devani's pizza. And no, I'm not sponsored by Devani's. But I'm going to go enjoy some really delicious pizza. Go Vikings, right? Love you all. Thanks for listening to my Star Wars rant. And you have a great day. Stay tuned and subscribe for more awesome videos. Peace!